back-to-back rain delays, NASCAR returns to Michigan with a nationwide teaser and a sprint to the last drop. On Saturday, Brian Vickers' strategy cost him the win.
He hung on my right rear quarter panel and gave the win to the 88 car.
I am so sorry, I forgot it was the Kyle Busch show.
But on Sunday, his fire fueled him to victory lane.
Jimmy Johnson's off the pace. Brian Vickers, he takes over the lead. Brian Vickers is going to do it.
Great job, guys. Hell yeah!
Michigan may have tested tempers, but Bristol flares them. Speaking of temps, we've got some burning issues to discuss, Canada here, and catching up to do next on This Week in NASCAR. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. And one thing is for sure, we do have a lot of catching up to do. We haven't been with you the last 2 weeks. Greg Biffle, Michael Waltrip, Steve Burns. Michael and I have talked about it. We missed doing this show. It's fun.
Man, men need to bond. We need to get together after a race and talk about it. And I feel I'm so happy we're here. And you know, Greg, you know, man hug.
I don't know if I'm that happy to be here, but you know, they moved your chair over a little bit because you kept grabbing my arm when you had a great idea. But
darn it, I guess I had a little bit more into this show than I thought.
I'm excited to be here.
Ron Capps would have given you a man hug, though. I'm sure of it. The headline, Brian Vickers, he goes to victory lane after 6 pole positions in 2009, his second career win. Guys, you know, yeah, Jimmy Johnson ran out of gas and there was other things happening, but he was fast all weekend.
Well, they picked him to win. There were experts that said this cat can win this race. And when you're picked to win a race, and that means you're one of the favorites. And that's just awesome to see Brian and his team come through and get the victory. He won in 2:06 at Talladega in a controversial finish.
Yeah.
And then to just to be so fast all weekend at Michigan and get the victory, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, that win really solidifies that team, saying that they're a competitive team and they're here, you know, for real, because we won in Daytona, and my second real downforce win, dominant win, came at Michigan, and you know, I'm happy to see Brian get, you know, those guys in the victory lane.
In his press conference after qualifying, he seemed almost subdued, and it occurred to me, I think that dude's tired of winning pole positions. He wants to win a race now.
Well, he's always subdued. That's one thing
that's
you know,
true.
when he wins, well, we were really happy to get this pole. Pole's great. It's great to win, you know. So they're just, these new kids these days, they're a little bit dry. So I'd like to hit him on the rear end and say, pep it up, you want a cup race. That's a huge deal.
Exactly.
But you could see when they got together down there in the grass how enthusiastic they were and the emotion, the team sharing that moment together. That was pretty cool.
Guys, just 3 races remain now to get in the chase. Let's take a look at the point standings. Of course, Tony Stewart still leading, but wow, what a tough break for Mark Martin, running out of gas on the last lap. Basically gave up 50 points.
Yeah, I mean, we ran out going down the back. I know that, you know, 48 ran out, Mark ran out. There was a lot of us that ran out and gave up points.
But here's the deal, Steve, you got to look at this. If you're Juan Pablo in 7th, you're 98 points up. You break a motor in any of these next 3 races, you're on the cusp of going out. So from 7th all the way to 16th, I believe we missed one guy, David Rudeman. He's less than 100 out. I think from 7th to 16th, anything can happen.
With Bristol looming on the horizon. Well, we'll have the highlights coming up right after this. We had some great racing in Michigan. Here, Kyle Busch gets way sideways, but saves it. All the highlights coming up. Later, we'll look back at some of the best fights and confrontations at Bristol. Emotions will run high. Kyle Busch can drive a race car, but will his temper keep him out of the chase? Dave Despain weighs in.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at a Bank of America Banking Center today.
This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Well, folks, this is the time of the year where there is so much on the line going into every race. Before Sunday's race, just 4 races remain to lock in a position to get into the championship race. And other guys trying to win for the first time in 2009. You can hear it all just now in Radioactive.
Radio check, check 1, 2. 10-4, got you. Check 1, 2. I got you there. You got me okay? Got a copy. 10-4.
Let's have a nice smooth day here, guys. Let's have some fun out there. Let's have some fun in here.
Nice and smooth the pits, nice and steady. Got a really good car. Put it in picture lane. Green, green, green.
Keep it up, bud. Doing a good job. How's your entry right now?
Entry's about right.
New leader, 48. Through by 3.
Feel like I'm on a dirt track just doing a power slide all the way through.
Save us some fuel here as you can. We still need one more pit stop, just so you know.
Sideways. Reagan, there's Kurt Busch sliding across the racetrack.
Tires, guys. 4 tires. Make your adjustment. Nice and easy, boys.
Pole center Brian Vickers a little too loose all the way through, and he's gotten a track bar adjustment from the 83 car, and he's gone.
Get all you can. Get all you can. Save us fuel. Save us fuel. Save us fuel. Be ready. Ready. Green flag. We need 2 laps, 2.5 laps. Straight up 2.5 laps. And you can do it.
You're not talking to me enough about this, Dan. Save, buddy. Save the best you can. Save, save, save.
I got us probably a lap short, even saving under them yellows. We're just going to see what happens, man. Keep running. If you got to sit here in the green, you've been pretty hard the whole time.
Letting off early, that's about it. 83 stepping up big time now.
We need to save about 2.5 laps of fuel. If you think you saved us that much, you just stay ahead of him, bud. Don't push that 48 any more than you have to. I know you've done a great job saving fuel. He's the only one you need to beat right now. The 88's about 3 seconds back, and he's the only one that can make it on fuel for sure. Go, I really believe in my stomach, man. The 88's the win. I don't think the punch you can make it. No way. Doing the 83, man. Nobody else is going to be able to get to you guys. It's just a matter of whether or not we can make it. I just ran out of fuel. Don't push that 48. I believe he's going to run out.
Fit, I'm out.
Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in.
48's out. 48's out. Keep digging.
Smooth, smooth, in the mirror, 2 to go. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Get it to us, bud, get it to us.
Ryan Vickers does it at Michigan.
That's what I'm talking about, boss man. Hell yeah, good job.
That's what I'm talking about. Great call. Great job, guys. Hell yeah.
How about that first win for Red Bull?
That is still my favorite part of the race, is listening to all the in-car radios and saving fuel. It seems like so many races this year have been save gas, save gas, save gas. It seems like over half of them have been a fuel mileage race. As of late, it seems like 1 in every 2 or 3 are. And it's just so difficult inside that car to see the guy in front of you. It's like the little rabbit running, and you're trying to save gas. You're trying to come off the throttle early, do everything you can, but yet still try and race.
You know why? Because the crew chiefs make you pit outside of your window.
Yeah.
You know, they say we can go 45 laps, pit with 55 to go.
Yep.
And then save me the gas. Well, darn, you said we could go 45. Why are you going to make me go 55?
Right.
And it's just trying to get that competitive advantage. Look at the way Tony Jr. did, or excuse me, Dale Jr. did things on Sunday. He came and got gas and tires, and he was ready to race. So I don't really like talking about them being totally fuel mileage races. It's strategy. These teams have decided, hey, they made a conscious decision to go outside of their fuel window and try to make it to the end. It gives them track position, but it doesn't give them enough gas to get to the finish.
I would argue that they're all fuel mileage races.
That's it.
It depends on where the caution comes out, you know, because if we can go 45 laps on gas, so if the caution comes out, you know, not in that 4 laps before we can make it. That's what always happens.
And that window keeps getting bigger though, Greg. It
Yeah.
was 4 laps. We can make 6. I bet you can say, oh, I'm touching you again.
Yeah.
We can maybe get it out to 10. You know, it's not all about fuel mileage, it's about how intense, because listen to this real quick. The guy that finished 33rd was leading the race when he ran out. The guy that finished 31st was running the top 5 when he ran out. That's how competitive things are. That's how tightly all the cars are stacked together. And so you just have to take chances.
And you listen to that radioactive feature, you can hear that the 48 does not think that they're going to make it. It did not sound like in Chad's voice and possibly Jimmy's voice that they were going to make it to the end of that event.
But what if they did? They would have won.
But totally different agenda. Jimmy could gamble. Mark Martin couldn't. But let's go to the highlights right now.
Mark Martin did.
He did, but
he shouldn't have, maybe.
Right.
But he could have.
Shouldn't have, maybe.
He could have, and he did, but he shouldn't have. I've done a few things in my life I shouldn't have.
But you did.
I know, because I could have. Look at 4 wide.
Guys, that was crazy, those restarts.
How fun is that right there? And you know, the car stayed that tight together. Not that tight, but we were in a big pack from 1st to 30th all day long.
Yeah. That's what's so fun about Michigan is all the opportunities. You know, there's 4 wide right there from the in-car. Oh.
That smoke?
That smoke is the right rear tire.
Yeah, that wasn't oil smoke. That was a guy burning his right rear off.
Oh.
Kyle gets sideways there. Greg, before we get on to the next highlight, talk too about, I hate to even ask you this, but I'm going to. When you're in that 16 car yesterday and you've run out of gas, what's the emotion? I mean,
it's so funny because 2 races at Michigan, obviously we didn't run as good as we did last time. Our car wasn't as good. We were off in practice and the whole thing. But I ran out of gas within probably 600 feet at the same exact spot 2 races in a row at Michigan. This time I was further along, had more speed and could coast. The only thing I thought when it ran out and I put it neutral was how many spots am I going to lose? I knew we were more packed up. I was going to lose more spots yesterday than I did prior, and I did lose more yesterday.
How many did that? Just to tell the folks at home how close things are, you ran out going into 3. How many spots that cost you?
I lost 8 spots. Coasting to the check.
And he was running 190 or so when he ran out.
Yeah, it feels like you have the brakes on when you push the clutch in and put it neutral, I can tell you.
All right, lap 120, Kurt Busch and David Reagan make contact on board with Kurt Busch.
I don't think Kurt ever hit David. David just got loose because the cars push each other around on air. He might have just barely nicked him, but you know, you've also, Greg, you can attest to this. He might have barely touched him, and you usually see guys save it. You know, we get into each other a lot, and David just went around. So
it's really hard to tell whether it's
I don't know if he did. But look at Carl Edwards. I mean, he had to be panting when he cleared those 2.
He got his quarter panel swiped, but he still made it through.
You said panting.
I did, like a dog.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. Well, this week's Picture of the Week, Brian Vickers obviously in victory lane at MIS with his crew. To enter the Picture of the Week giveaway, go to speedtv.com, click the Shows tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page. You'll see a link at the bottom of the page to email us. Put 83 in the subject line, and you're entered. Be sure to put your shipping address in the email. The winner will be revealed next week. The Jimmy Johnson Indianapolis picture goes to Midland Park, New Jersey. Well, coming up next, Contact put a damper on Juan Pablo Montoya's day. More highlights coming up. Fireworks Saturday after the nationwide race. We'll show you who scuffled and get some reaction. Plus, later we'll debut our Hot Lap segment where we ask the boys if it's fair to get multiple lucky dogs. We'll be right back.
Detroit Motor City, here we are.
Can you sign that later?
Brad Keselowski's gonna win it.
I might be the Jonas Brothers of NASCAR.
Oh, here he goes. Jimmy's out of fuel. Jimmy's out. I am the king for today. Ryan Vickers does it at Michigan.
Hey, don't forget NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot Saturday afternoon. Don't forget we race under the lights. NASCAR Race Day beginning at 4:30 Eastern Saturday here on Speed. Time now to delve into some more of the highlights from yesterday's Carfax 400.
You said delve.
Delve deeper. David Reagan spins down the front stretch.
That was his second spin of the day.
Yeah, he was busy. He was a busy boy.
Some of the guys decide to make a little pump fake to pit road but stay out on the racetrack.
It's my opinion that was more of indecision than a pump fake.
Really?
How are you going to fake someone out behind you? You either go on pit road or you don't.
Yeah.
Like, the guy behind you is either going to go on or not. If you're able to make it off pit road, then he can.
Yeah.
So I think that dude was just saying, oh, what'd I do?
Talk to me, talk to me.
Somebody help me, please.
Well, Earnhardt Jr., Harvick, and Tony Stewart do pit. That would be their last stop of the race. And again, we saw the fake out. Michael says it's indecision. I'm on board with Michael. Casey Kane gets into Juan Pablo Montoya. And Greg, this was rough because Juan Pablo cuts a tire down and goes a lap down trying to fix that flat tire.
Yeah, that was, that could have been the kiss of death for him, but he's lucky the cautions fell the way they did. He got the lucky dog, got back on the lead lap, and, passed me as I was coasting on the apron. There I am coasting on the apron back to get, a 19th place finish. So it could have been disastrous, but he recovered.
The Geico Greatest Pit Crew, the 83 team, Vickers takes 2 tires and gets the lead coming off of pit road. Talk about tire strategy, Michael, because we saw a lot of different agendas. 2 tires, 4 tires. Seems like 4 tires is always more effective.
But darn, Steve, you got to appreciate the job that Goodyear's doing. And I think it all started with the disaster at Indy last year. They said, we've got to step up our tires. We got to make our tires better. We had a great race at Indy, and the tires will continually get better. And what tires do, when the tires are good, it opens up the game for strategy. I might get 2. I might just stay out because I think my tires are good enough to do that. So you don't want a race where every time the caution flies, everybody comes and gets 4.
Right.
Because you don't have anything mixed up. On Sunday, we saw people get 2, we saw them get 4, we saw them stay out on the racetrack, and man, that makes for fun racing.
All right, let's move ahead now in the highlights. Lindsey Nelson, further action. All right, on the restart up front, Dale Earnhardt Jr. passes David Rudiman for the lead.
These guys stayed out, and we've got guys all around them that had pitted. And look, you can still see the fact that if you get hit, you'll spin out.
That's good analysis right there.
Thank you. I didn't realize what had just happened. I saw Strimmy backwards on the front straightaway, but he just got ran over.
Yeah, Clint Boyer gets into the side of him.
Yeah, it looked like he lost his momentum up off the corner. May have gotten loose, and
so
the
Clint
33
just ran him over.
Yeah,
right. So
with
he's a
the
great
double
driver, by the way.
By the way,
it's a shame he ran over him.
With the double file
I think
restarts,
been able to miss him. Who knows?
Who knows? Greg, with the double file restarts shootout style, were you surprised that there wasn't more contact after the restarts? Because you guys were bunched up together for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of contact, but the thing about these cars and about the speed we're going is you got to be careful. I mean, the contact's going to lead to crashing, and we know that. So, we're in there racing tight against each other, but at the same time, we know that we can't really get into each other. There was a little pushing and shoving going on, but at those kinds of speeds, not the contact you're going to see at Bristol.
What about double file restart shootout style at Bristol?
Yeah.
We're getting to that. Hang on.
That's going to be fun to see, right?
Yes, sir. All right, on the restart, you get way ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't wait till Bristol.
It's all right. On the restart, the 48 beats the 83 to the line. Is that a legal move?
Let's see how close it was. You can't. They say in the drivers' meeting every week, the inside car or the second place car cannot beat the leader to the start finish line. Okay, clearly the 48 beat the 83. So when we get to the drivers' meeting this weekend at Bristol, should we say, is it okay for the second place guy to beat the first place guy? Because I'm confused right now.
So why didn't he get penalized?
I'm going to ask in the drivers' meeting, or I probably won't because I get a little shy in those meetings. But why wouldn't the guy have gotten penalized?
Yeah, I think it was the understanding is that if it's a clean start and you both get off, well, my question was originally, if you beat the guy by a foot, or 6 inches, are you going to get penalized?
If you go under the line at Daytona, if it's by a foot or 6 inches, that's supposed to be black and white too, but sometimes that's a little bit shady as well. But in the NFL, if you step on the line,
you're out of bounds.
You're out of bounds.
Right.
So I think we need to clean those issues up. If we're going to say in the drivers' meeting, if you beat the first place guy to the line, you're penalized. Then if you beat the first place guy to the line, you should be penalized.
Yeah, he beat him by quite a bit. My question was, okay,
did he give the position
photo
back?
Finish, if I beat the guy by an inch, am I going to be penalized? That's technically side by side. But if you beat the guy by half a car, that's certainly like that was.
Or if he gave the position back before they got into turn one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little confused right now. And I love the way we do all this. This is fun. You ever do the deal on speed when you're looking inside the garage area and everybody's going like?
Yeah. I like this. And then you guys go like that. That's my fear. All right, when we come back, another fuel mileage thriller in Michigan. The 48 runs out of gas again. We'll break it all down after this, plus history happening in the Truck Series as we speak. Stick around. You're watching This Week in NASCAR.
The Greatest Pit Crew has been presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. All right, it's time now to look at the final highlight from the Carfax 400 that we have. It is the Castrol Edge smart move of the race, and it's going to go to Brian Vickers. Everyone, or most drivers, trying to save fuel. Greg, talk about Vickers' ability to draft. How much fuel does that really save?
Well,
and was it a deciding factor?
Yeah, I was trying to do the same thing with Matt Kenseth, but you know, you can save a little bit by drafting the guy, but not a significant amount. You're either going to make it or you're not. You know, maybe me running out, you know, in that last little bit. Brian obviously had enough gas to do that, make his cool down lap, and do donuts on, you know, victory lane there. So he had plenty of fuel to make it. Their fuel mileage must be good enough, but you know, Mark didn't have enough. Obviously, that's what I look like. And it's tough.
The thing about the new car is, though, it does punch a bigger hole in the air. So the guy riding behind another cat, especially as close as Brian was able to stay to Jimmy, was conserving him fuel. But I don't believe Jimmy Johnson being behind Brian Vickers and riding behind him solely would have saved him 3 laps to make it to the finish. No. Now, what Jimmy could have done was got down at the end of the straightaway, shut his motor off, and coasted through the corners, and really went into gas-saving mode and probably made it. But they've got so many.
And he would have finished 10th.
He would have finished maybe 10th or maybe 6th or 8th. Who knows? Yeah. But they had the chance. They had the ability to take that chance. They could say, I'm going to lead this race. I think we can make it. If we don't, who cares? Yeah. Mark Martin's decision is a little bit more touchy because they're now find themselves right on the border of being in the chase, and they'll certainly kick themselves in the rear end if it doesn't work out at the end of the chase.
Alan Gustafson said it was completely my fault. The crew chief, Mark Martin, took the blame, so he manned up. Well, it was a crazy race on Saturday for the Nationwide Series drivers, including some great post-race fireworks. We'll pick up the highlights with 2 laps to go. 3-wide battle for the lead between Kyle Busch, Brian Vickers, and Brad Keselowski.
Loose and holds the lead. And there, look at Keselowski's got that momentum on the bottom side. This is the spot he'd be looking for here to be 3 wide. Look at Vickers getting down. Check out Keselowski, guys. Coming to the high side. This high side flag right here. Keselowski's right where he needs to be. We're 3 wide in turn 1. Holy cow. Vickers can't hold on right there. Look at Keselowski's going to have the advantage off of turn 2. It's all about momentum, and 32 can't hold on to it right now. It's just too loose. I don't think he can hang on again. It looks like Keselowski's going to get the momentum off 4, guys. And that's going to win him the race right there. It's a drag race down the line. And Brad Keselowski's going to win it. 2 tires. How about that move? Wow. All right, boys. My 2 tires, they did it. Come on, let's see if they're going to fight. I want to see this. A little discussion. A few little words here. He's like, hey, dude. Oh, here we go. Nothing wrong with controversy.
Well, they need to get the helmets off. He hung on my right rear quarter panel all the way down the front straightaway and gave the win to the 88 car. He slowed us down so much. He had no idea the 88 car was coming. And the 88 just drove right by both of us on the outside because Brian Vickers was trying to slow both of us down. Just stupid. Unfortunately, you race with idiots, and, you know, I guess you'll have that sometimes.
I am so sorry. I forgot it was the Kyle Busch show. Hell, I thought we were racing for a win. I don't, you know, I thought it was my job to hold him off. Apparently not. He came over to the car after we came in and knocked our fender in, which was unnecessary, and then started crying like a little baby. And I asked him if he'd just give me a minute to get out. We could talk about it like men. If he wanted to fight, that's fine with me. And as soon as I got out, he ran off.
I saw him bobbling 3 and 4 there at the 1 to go, and I had him. I knew it. I knew I could get to the outside and kill the 32. I wasn't sure about the 18, but I don't know what happened to him. So, oh my God, I won it home. I'm speechless. I can't believe it. I'm terrible here, and to win here is a major accomplishment and something for everybody at Junior Motorsports to be proud of.
I'm going to disagree with Kyle Busch on a couple of points. First of all, Brian Vickers is not an idiot. You know, he's a pretty smart race car driver and a very talented race car. And secondarily, Brian Vickers was doing what he had to do to win the race. He did not force Kyle Busch to the apron. He chased him down there. And when he got down there, he flared off of him to try to give him, you got to deal with what's ahead of you. You know, Brian's job was to say, oh, the 18's leading. I got to figure out how to pass him. He dealt with that and he got around the 18. Brad Keselowski just did a great job. Sometimes you can't, athleticism and greatness, you just can't overcome it. And Brad Keselowski and Brian Vickers both did everything they needed to do. They just, Brian came up a little bit short and Brad was in victory lane.
And Brad, that's the thing you want to see when you're running third. Brad wants to see those two guys racing each other. He's back there going, one more lap. I got him. I got him now, you know, so.
I love that. Let's settle it like men.
Let's go.
I love that. All right, when we come back, Mark Martin made a big blunder at Bristol back in the 90s. We'll show you what happened. I'm sure he's glad of that. Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards are running both Nationwide and Sprint Cup full-time. Is this hurting their chances to win a Cup title? We'll discuss that as well. Stay with us.
The smart move of the race has been presented by Castrol Edge. Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge Advanced Synthetic. Nothing offers better wear and protection.
Hornaday will be a repeat winner at the Milwaukee Mile.
Hornaday turns the wick up one more time.
Hornaday will win his second Elvis Trophy in Memphis.
Awesome job, everybody.
Hornaday stays in front of Skinner. Hornaday will win again in Kentucky.
This is pretty exciting, 3 in a row. I think Johnny Benson's the only one who's ever done it, and this is cool.
Hornaday will set a record, 4 in a row.
You are the man.
But I tell you what, I wanted that 4th one so bad.
The real history is being made. Ron Hornaday will win 5 races in the row.
In 3 of the 5 races, he had a dominant truck. But in 2 of the 5 races, he willed himself to victory lane. I mean, he just did more in a truck than I've ever seen anyone do to get to victory lane. So the 5 in a row is an amazing statistic. I don't think anyone's ever done it but him and Johnny Benson.
What about
no one's ever
3 in a row.
No one's ever won 3 in a row with those 2, right?
No.
Okay. Well.
Hey, come on now. I won 3 in a row twice in the same year.
Has that ever been done before?
Nope.
Well, let's just go with that then.
All right. So if he wins 6, then he won 3 in a row twice, right?
You and he are the only 2 to do that.
That's right.
All right, the Camping World Truck Series race at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Michael, are you there for that broadcast Wednesday?
Yes, I love being up there in the booth.
8 p.m. with Rick and Phil and Adam and X-Ray and Krista Voda.
Yeah.
That's going to be sweet.
They just bring it all. You get down on pit road with those 2 and you're going to learn everything you want to know. X-Ray and Adam, they got it.
Take care of business.
We're going to set you up, too, with Christy.
Krista, we mentioned that. Hey, wild things happen at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Well, back in 1994, Mark Martin had something, it didn't happen to him. He did it, something he'd rather forget.
And there's Mark Martin, our leader, as we are less than 10 laps to the conclusion of the Goodings 250 here at Bristol International Raceway.
Hermie Sadler has a flat tire going down the back straightaway. Oh, and Robert Preston could not slow down and miss him in time, and the caution is out.
Well, this race is going to finish under the caution flag, folks, because Mark Martin is going to get the white flag as he comes by this time. So that is our winner, Mark Martin.
Here comes Mark Martin. He's coming. What's he doing? Look, he's coming down pit road. Wait a minute, Mark, the race is not over.
David Green is going to win the race as Mark Martin has pulled down pit road.
I don't believe it.
Remember we told you Mark Martin had a radio problem, radio coming in and out. He probably could not hear the crew, and he's trying to talk now to the crew as he pulls back on the racetrack. And David Green will get his second career Busch Grand National victory.
Listen, man, I've been pulling for David Green to win really hard, but that's not like that. That's the stupidest thing I ever done. There's nothing else I can say. I thought the race was over. Those guys pulled up beside of me waving, and I swear I thought I saw Houston come down pit road. I thought it was over.
Well, I think probably the most embarrassing part of that is Mark waving out the window, saluting the fans as he drove down pit road 1 lap early. And thank goodness I've never done that. And I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't. But
I just hope Mark's not watching tonight. It could run out of gas.
What I'm real proud of David Green for not following Mark down. You know, you're coming around the races. You've been intense for 250 laps. You're racing at Bristol. All of a sudden, you know, the caution, the white, and everything's going on. And here goes the guy you're racing into toward victory lane. I'm surprised though David didn't just follow him right on down.
Yeah.
And you know what? In the record books, it says Bristol 1994 spring race, David Green, winner.
That's right.
And he won the championship that year.
He did, driving for Bobby Labonte.
That's right. Hey, up next, it's almost a guarantee that tempers will flare at Bristol. This track gets drivers fired up. Hey, is Danica Patrick coming to NASCAR? Dave Despain says he has some inside information. This week in NASCAR, we'll be right back. A lot going on this weekend here on Speed. In addition to the truck race on Wednesday, on Friday, it's a full slate. Michael, by the way, of interest to you, trackside, 11 p.m. Eastern, Trevor Bayne and Rudy Rudiger, David Rudiman.
You gotta
the Beak.
You're gonna have to watch trackside on Friday night. That's pretty cool.
It's a wall trip racing show.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, Kyle Busch has 2 wins. He won the very first COT race in NASCAR at Bristol Motor Speedway. He also won there this past spring.
Welcome to the hallowed hills of Tennessee.
It is a 500-lap race on a high-banked half-mile oval.
Mark Martin will start the action today. He'll pull the train to turn 1. Kyle Busch continues to be the race leader.
Got a spin on the back. Caution's out. Trying to wreck in front of you. Get your hand up, get your hand up, get the bottom, get the bottom, get the bottom. Back it down, low, go low, go low. Is there any way we can just quit now? Some of us. This is short track racing.
Kyle Busch rockets out of turn number 4, and he'll claim the Food City 500.
Hell yeah, boys! What's up? Bristol, buddy. Always wanted to win one of these things here.
Sizzling red hot this season, already 2 W's. Nobody could put a glove on Kyle Busch.
Well, there is no doubt the tempers will flare at Bristol in the spring and this weekend. And you see some of that action. You see Kurt Busch running in the back of Harvick, and that's what happens when you say you get wrecked from behind. There's an accident, you lift on the gas, start slowing down, and you get hit from behind, and it's just a chain reaction. That place is so small, so fast, and that's things that happen in Bristol.
Michael, this is the last track where we have pit roads on front stretch and back stretch. Your brother, who won there 12 times, by the way, he said that you can get disoriented there because you're going around there 14, 15 seconds a lap. Jeff Gordon has missed the road twice.
Yeah, and you'll think that if you're pitting on the back straightaway, you'll come down the front straightaway pit under green flag conditions. And
Martin did that.
That's when spotters are so important. You know, people have to understand you're making half miles in 15 seconds. The spotter, the crew chief, everybody needs to remember that the driver needs to have all kinds of information. He needs to be told with 10 to go, you're going to pit. Make sure you pit off turn 4. Do you hear me? You're going to pit off turn 4, 10-4. Just kill him with information so you make sure you don't make silly mistakes.
How many times have you lost your temper at Bristol?
I lost my temper a couple of times on a 2-mile racetrack. Now divide that by 4 to make it a half, so like twice as many.
No, 4 times as many, 8 times.
Divide it, multiply it. Divide the track and multiply the times.
Exactly, by 4.
Hey, Greg, I'm sure you've never lost your temper at Bristol.
I never have. Never.
Yeah. Remember this? This is the famous water bottle incident.
Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace.
The only time that thank goodness I controlled myself. I was kind of.
Kevin Harvick coming after Greg Biffle.
I was in championship mode there. I thought about getting him with an uppercut when he came off that car. I thought it'd been the coolest thing in the world to see him laid out. But I got fined 100 points the year before, or a few years back.
For hitting a guy?
For hitting a guy, and when I sit at the championship table, I thought about that moment.
You did win the championship, right?
That year I did, when I refrained from doing anything.
Greg, we were talking about this for a moment in the commercial. What I remember is crazy about that. Harvick said on TV, I'm going to go after Greg Biffle after the race, and he did.
And no one believed him, I guess.
They didn't take him at his word.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, whatever. He's mad.
Yeah.
They were unhappy when I punched Jay Sauter on the front stretch of Richmond, and that was a stupid thing to do. And I learned my lesson from that. So when I saw Harvick come over the car, I thought, I'm just going to stand here because
I do not condone physical violence.
Cost me money.
I think we should just all talk it out.
And just hug it out.
We were talking it out right there. So
with hands on each other. Just sell it like men.
Yeah.
I like it. When Twin returns, we'll ask the question, does a road course belong in the chase? We'll talk to Michael and Greg about that, and we'll open up the inbox. Let Michael and Greg answer some questions. You're watching Twin. We'll be right back. Hey, glad you're back with us. We're going to roll out a new feature. We're going to call it Hot Laps, where I ask Michael, Greg, and Chad Knaus when he's here their opinion about different topics in the sport. Michael, should a driver be allowed to receive multiple lucky dogs in a race?
I think so. The rule is the highest non-lead lap guy gets a lap back. What's that hurt? You know, maybe your guy gets 3 or 4 laps down, as Jimmy Johnson did at Pocono. You make them up. It gives you a chance to compete and contend. It keeps another guy in the race. I don't have a problem with that.
Greg Biffle's opinion.
Well, I mean, you know, certainly like Michael said, it's not really, how would you regulate it any other way? You know, a guy could get a lucky dog a few times, but in this particular case, he was multiple laps down with nobody 1 lap down. And at Pocono, you're not normally going to get a guy a lap down the way how big the track is. So
why not give them to him?
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way of really handling it besides the fact.
What I love about what NASCAR does, if you got a penalty for reckless driving or being mean on the racetrack, you don't get a lucky dog. Don't take laps from a guy and then give them back to him. But in that case, Greg and I, we think it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2 in our Hot Lap segment is, drivers doing double duty like Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch hurting their chances of winning a Cup championship? And I'll start with you, Greg.
Well, certainly if you know you're in the heat of the moment, heat of the battle with a Cup title coming down to the line, it could detract from that your concentration a little bit when you got to get out of that car and run over there, especially the away races when you have to get in the airplane and fly to a different racetrack. But at the same racetrack, same weekend, I really don't feel like it's a distraction at the same racetrack.
Michael, is it hurting their efforts to win a Cup championship?
You know, Steve, I've always been of the opinion that it doesn't, but darn, like Greg said, you get out of that car and you run away. All of a sudden, your crew chief he might have some details he wants to discuss with you and you're not there. So I would go on the record as saying, yes, it does hurt. Now, you do gain by being on the track, but these guys are so good. If they spend that quality time with their crew chief discussing those cars,
like
I think
we do here?
Yeah, like this man.
Cave?
No hugs. He wants a hug.
You ready?
No, not yet.
Okay. I think you gain more by not running all those races.
All right. Should a road course be included in the championship chase? Michael, we start with you.
No. I think the road courses are an important part of our season, and they do add up to who gets in the chase, so they are significant. But there's 10 races to go at the end of the season. There's only 2 road races during the course of the year. You don't want to have 10% of your chase made up by a race that's only approximately 3 or 4% of the first 35 or 25 races. So I would say no.
Greg Biffle.
I disagree. I think that we should swap Watkins Glen and Talladega.
So take Talladega out.
Yep.
Put Watkins Glen in. Why?
Yep. Because at Talladega, you can always get caught up in the big one. And it's sort of a gamble on who gets caught in the wreck and who doesn't. And that determines your championship. Somebody else's recklessness in one race out of the entire season, the 10 races, somebody makes a mistake, it could cost you a title without your input, your doing.
And it happened to you last October.
Well, it's happened to a lot of the guys. You know, whoever makes it through there tends to win the title. And I'd rather see it come down to the driver's ability than his luck in missing an accident.
It's time now for the Z-Max Fuel for Thought email segment. I like the Hot Laps. Good job by you two.
Yeah, great. He said big one. That was pretty cool.
I liked it. Michael, what is the life expectancy of a Sprint Cup car, providing it doesn't get wrecked during a race?
You know, with the new car, I think that's a little bit difficult to answer, Steve, because right now I think we're still trying to figure that out. We constantly keep improving the product, building lighter, more efficient new cars, and so that retires some of the cars sooner than maybe we would normally. But if you don't wreck one and you've got one you like and it's up to date, then I think you can race these cars for as many as 3 to 5 years. There's no reason why you couldn't.
Absolutely.
All right, well, this week's Picture of the Week, Brian Vickers celebrating with his crew at Michigan. To enter the Picture of the Week giveaway, go to speedtv.com, click the Shows tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page, and you'll see a link at the bottom.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Well, there's no shortage of topics to address in our sport these days, and luckily for us, Dave Despain is here to weigh in on more than a couple.
Well, thank you, Steve. It's nice to be back. It's a good time to have a job and a good opportunity to clean out some of these notes that have been accumulating since the last time I was on the show, starting with Kyle Busch. Spectacular on the track, not exactly a role model all the time off the track. I say, make up your mind. Do you love him or do you hate him? Cheer him or boo him? I'm good either way. What does interest me is whether he'll even be in the chase come Richmond. As for Junior, Hendrick Brain Trust finally gave him that new crew chief, and he has since fallen 3 spots in the points. So now what do? Shootout style double file restarts. Come on. Racing is about fast guys in the front and slow guys in the back. For whatever reason, NASCAR for years allowed the first car a lap down to pass the other 42 cars under yellow and restart on the pole. Now, for whatever reason, the first car a lap down is the lucky dog starting in the back where he belongs, but back on the lead lap. If there really is some good reason to just arbitrarily give somebody a free lap back, I think double file restarts is a better way to do that. Race starting times. Doesn't bother me that cup races start when the TV networks want them to. I'm here working either way. However, it seems to bother enough other people that I think NASCAR and the networks might want to consider starting at the same time every Sunday afternoon like they used to. That said, I have no sympathy for those who bitch that there are too many pre-race shows and they're too long. The solution's pretty simple. Don't watch. Finally, the rumor that won't go away until she finally signs the contract. Danica Patrick is not going to NASCAR. She and her handlers are smart enough to know that her career and her appeal are based on running in the top 5 and thus maintaining the illusion that she's a threat to the IndyCar boys. Failing to qualify for cup races week in and week out is going to burst that bubble in a hurry. Unless somebody comes up with a way to give her permanent owner's points, I predict she'll sign a Ganassi IndyCar contract sooner rather than later. Your opinions, of course, may vary. Thanks for the time, boys.
I love Dave. He's opinionated. You know, he thinks about every issue and tries to get people to weigh in. I believe that Danica will stay in IndyCar. That's what I think. I was told to comment on one thing. That was my comment.
101 green flags. How about it?
I think that starting the race at the same time every week, although we do race in different time zones, I believe is important. I think we should start at 1 Eastern time every week is my opinion.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Well, you can see Dave Despain every Sunday night at 9 Eastern. And actually, Krista Voda's going to sit in for Double D this weekend.
I like Krista. She tells a story, baby.
Sunday night at 9 o'clock. Hey, tonight on Supercars Exposed, Tanner Faust heads to Santa Monica, California for the start of the 11th running of the Gumball 3000 rally. See the exotic cars and celebrities like Tony Hawk, David Hasselhoff, and Dennis Rodman race from California to Miami on public roads. It's the cannonball run for the new generation. Supercars Exposed coming up next, 9 Eastern, here on Speed.
Some people say I look like David Hasselhoff. I've heard that before. Couple
if
things.
You say so.
Tim Brown works for MWR. He won his 8th championship at Bowman Gray Stadium this weekend driving a modified. That's an amazing statistic, an 8-time champion. So congratulations, Tim Brown. And Ryan Truex, he did some pretty cool things up at Line Rock.
Yeah, he got another win on the road course.
3rd win, leading the points in the Camping World E-Series. That's Martin's brother. He's 16 years old and just an amazing little race car driver. Mike Griechi and all the guys that work on that car, they're really impressed by the way Ryan drives his car.
That's great.
What's going on with Greg Biffle?
Just radio show tonight right after this. GregBiffle.com. Just trying to stay in the chase. Looking forward to Bristol.
How you feel?
I feel good.
You're confident, right?
I feel good. I'm confident.
Yeah, I think you can do it, brother.
Yep. I'm there.
Give it up.
No hug, fist pump.
I got a fist pump. That's better than nothing.
Hey, modifieds and the trucks here on Speed Wednesday night, and stay with us Friday at Bristol.